Hello everyone, Todd here with Travis, and welcome back to another episode of Ask the Pastors. And we're really glad you've joined in for this week's question, which is one that really hits us at the most practical level.
Yeah, very personal.
Very personal. It's this question. Why is communicating in marriage so frustrating? And I suspect right now you're grinning and smiling and laughing because we've all experienced those moments when you're on totally different pages with your spouse. So Travis, first of all, how long have you been married?
16 years.
You kind of pause for a moment?
Even that's a good question. 16 years.
Okay, we're working on 32.
Wow.
So
incredible.
We bring a little bit, all of us, both of us bring some experience, but I think we'd admit, man, it's a annually, a daily, monthly growing relationship, isn't it?
Yep.
You got to work at it.
Got to work at it.
So take a shot at this question. Why is communication in marriage so frustrating?
Yeah. I think it's because you married someone different than yourself. We've been married 16 years, and the thing that I've continued to learn is I've gotta know my wife. I've gotta know how she thinks, how she acts, and what she needs. And so the thing that has helped me communicate better with my wife is to know her, rather than just know myself and think what I want, what I need. And so we've had to work hard at asking good questions, talking a lot, sharing stories. That helps me know the mind of my wife. We try to go for a walk every single day and just talk. That helps us to know each other and how each other thinks.
And in that walk, I suspect you're saying you ask a lot of questions.
I ask a lot of questions. Just help me know how you think and what you need.
Which is really not something, which is something that men don't do well.
No, not
to be
at
frank
all.
with you.
Yep.
We typically make statements or we don't say anything when we get home.
Yep.
And that's really wise that you're saying, hey, let's lean in and let's ask.
My wife says all the time, Travis, I can't read your mind, so let's just state the obvious. And she'll say that too. One of the things that she's learned is Travis can't read her mind, so she needs you to just say it. Like, so if she wants the dishes cleaned, instead of just showing me a sink full of dishes, tell me, like, Travis, it'd be really nice if you could empty the dishwasher or clean the dishes.
And then you need to hear that without assuming that she has like a coded message in there.
We need to state the obvious.
Yeah.
It's helpful.
So we called that, we still call that, in our marriage, we call that face value communication. And so in fact, when our church first started, within the first year or two, and there'll be some here who are watching or listening who will remember this, we had a marriage weekend seminar and we taught on face value communication, which is just what you described. Being able to state the obvious in an honest way without offense.
That's right.
Like hear it just factually.
Yep. It's not criticism.
It's not.
It's just a fact.
Because you can't really learn and know
That's right.
without that information. You know, you're really explaining to us what 1 Peter, I think it's chapter 3 says, when it says to husbands to live with your wife according to knowledge. Or another translation says based on how well you know her.
That's right.
And you don't get to know someone unless you're doing what you're saying, right?
Yep.
So different personalities means you have to bridge that gap with communication, questions.
And there's a lot of ways to learn that. We've done personality profiles, Enneagram. We've done a lot of those different tools. That's all they are, is tools to help us see, you think that way or you act that way because of how God designed you, how He made you.
Yeah. So
that's different than me.
What number are you on the Enneagram?
I am a 9. I'm a peacemaker. Is that right? I think.
And then they say you have like a wing, right?
Yeah.
Either a wing 8 or a wing 1.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've thought about it, but yeah.
A 9. What's Casey? Do you know?
She is a 5, which is the thinker, the contemplator. So she needs time to think through things, where I'm more spontaneous.
Okay.
Just go with what your gut says.
So Julie labels me a 3,
Okay.
and then she's a 9 as well.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
We're probably branded heretics for even saying that on this
I know.
podcast. No Enneagram, I don't know.
It's helpful.
It is. That's just a tool. So here's a word I was thinking of that would go along with your word of personalities about maybe why communication in marriage is so frustrating. It's the word assumptions. And I think we hit on the same thing. When you assume things, you will have miscommunication because, like you said, you don't know that person. In fact, we tell a lot of young couples, you don't know your fiance like you think you do. And we've even moved away. I'll just go ahead and kind of lay this on the table. We've moved away from premarital counseling to postmarital counseling. So we meet with a couple maybe once or twice before the marriage, go over the ceremony, maybe do some inventory. But we have found that meeting once a quarter, the year after their marriage,
It's good.
and one couple we were with when we suggested this, and they said, we'll do it. In their very first meeting with us, the quarter after they were married, they came and said, we had no
No
idea.
idea.
And they
Yeah.
said, everything you told us was right, but we didn't believe you before the ceremony.
They haven't experienced it.
And I was looking to be right, but it's amazing what just 3 months of marriage will show you that
yeah.
you had no idea.
That's right. 16 years of marriage. And
Yeah,
you're, and
32,
you're still
you're
learning.
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So assumptions are a major problem. Here's one that I think most couples make, and this is just, I mean, I made this, Julie made this, y'all made this.
Yep.
I like to think of marriage as, you have your car and your spouse has their car. And so we know it's merging into one flesh, right? But what we actually think is they're going to get into my car. We think that. We would never voice that. But we say, okay, here's this entrance ramp. We're all coming together and we're going to say I do, and then you're going to get in my car.
Right. Nothing's going to change.
But the other person thinks that too. And what happens is typically you have a crash.
Yeah, collision.
You're fighting over who gets in what car. Like, well, we celebrate holidays this way.
Right.
We go on vacation here, or we spend money like this, or we budget this way. We have 2 accounts. We have 1 account. And suddenly, what happens is if you don't abandon both cars and create your own, you'll always struggle with, whose car are we riding in?
That's right.
And so we tell couples a lot of times, avoid the crash
That's
by
right.
just agreeing that once you say I do, you're going to create your own car and you're going to ride in that. But it takes time. And like you said, it takes a lot of questions, a lot of communication, but you can't assume that they're going to get in my car.
Yep. And
Because
talk-
they're not.
Yeah, and talk about everything, right?
Yeah.
So what's Christmas look like? Don't assume.
Exactly.
You're exactly right. That's
And
good.
all those issues you mentioned, they look that way because of people's personality,
Yep.
their tradition.
Yep.
Jill and I make this comment to a lot of young couples that you will find in the first year of marriage that you'll think the way they were raised is almost a genetic issue. It's not. But it's so deeply embedded
Yep.
that you cannot just easily cut that away. And so you put those two people together
good.
with all their assumptions and no questions. And this is why communication is so frustrating.
Yeah.
So it's a huge topic, isn't
It
it?
is, absolutely.
Yeah.
It takes a lifetime to learn.
So that's just a brief, we're just scratching the surface, but we want you to know, both of us as pastors here, we really value marriage, and we think communication is just vital and critical to a good marriage. So work hard at it, men and women. Ask a lot of questions, and don't make any assumptions. And that will be at least a start
Yep.
to increasing communication in marriage. Well, thanks for being with us today on Ask the Pastors, and we'll see you next week.